In this brief tutorial, we're going to go over how to track email that's either sent from the site or coming into the site. So I'm logged in as the administrator, and I'm going to go to the admin page. And now I'm going to scroll down and go to Mail Manager. On the Mail Manager page, I'm going to scroll to the bottom and click on Track Delivery. So here we have the Track Mail form that allows you to enter the search criteria for the messages you want to search for. The first criteria is search by. This can be the sender, which is the from address on the message, or the to address. And the delivered to is a little different. In most cases, you're going to use address to, which is the to address on the message that was sent. In the case of emails sent from the website, the address to would be, for example, the email address in somebody's profile. If you're looking to see if a particular notification was sent to that person, the to address would be the email address in their profile. Delivered to can be different. And the case where that can be different is if the person it's addressed to, if that email address ends up being a forwarder, then the email may end up ultimately getting delivered to a totally different address. So you might send this to someone's profile email address, but that ends up forwarding to a totally different, let's say, a different Gmail address or a different Yahoo address. So in general, the safest thing, if you're looking to find emails that have been sent to a specific person, the best way to find them is to use address to. And then use the email address, for example, from their profile. If you're trying to see if a particular user got an email, then use address to and enter their profile email address. You can also search for email by sender, which, in many cases from your website, that'll be webmaster@yourdomain. So that's another way to look and see. If you say, oh, I sent out a broadcast email, today, and it was sent from Webmaster, and of course it went to, 100 different people, you wouldn't be searching on who it went to. You would be saying, I want to see all the people it went to, just so I can kind of see if anybody was excluded. So you could do it by sender, and then it would show you all the email that was sent from that address today if you entered today's addresses or today's dates. Starting date, ending date is the range of the server logs that will be searched. So you can search up to 7 days. That can only span 7 days. And if you leave these fields blank, it will just search today. So the email address is going to be dependent upon what you selected up here. So if you say you're searching by the sender, then this will be usually something like webmaster@yourdomain. If you're selecting address to, then this will be the person that you're trying to figure out if they received the email. So it might be, somebody's Gmail address or somebody's Yahoo address. And then finally is the status, which is just, you can have it filtered by only the successful email deliveries or only the failed email deliveries. In many cases, doing all is the best because the list will show you which ones failed. So this way you see everything and you're not accidentally missing something. So let's go ahead and do a sample here. I'm going to do a sender, and I'm going to put in from 520 to 527. And I'm going to send from webmaster@hoa-tutor.com, which is this website. And we'll click search. And here you can see we have 2 results of emails that were both sent on 5/22. In fact, if you look at the date and time, you can see these emails were sent. This was one message that went out to different addresses at the same time because the time is the same. So generally when you see a date and time that are the same except for maybe 1 second off, because if you're sending to 100 different recipients, you might see that email could take a few minutes technically, but generally within a minute or two of each other, they're all going to be the same message in general. So the only option you have here is you can check this box that says use wide format. And when we do that, it switches this display to a wide format. Some people prefer to see it this way. Some people prefer to see it, the individual records down the page one at a time. So let's take a look at this briefly. There's not much here to see that's not self-explanatory. We have the sent date, the end time, the delivered date and time. This can be different than the sent date and time. If, for example, the server is a little busy, it might have been sent from the server, or actually, this actually could be if our server is busy, the sent time could be delayed or the delivered time could be delayed. The delivery time being delayed would usually be if the receiving server was busy and it just wasn't logging the emails coming in. I've seen it before where sometimes you'll send an email to a Yahoo server or a Gmail server and it doesn't arrive right away. And that's usually not our server waiting. It's their server acknowledging that they've received it because they're queuing up a bunch of email and then processing it at intervals. So you might see a delivered time that's later than the sent time, but usually these will be pretty close. The from address, of course, is the email from address. The recipient is who it was sent to, so the recipient address on the email, that's usually the profile email address. Delivered to could be different. As you can see here, this went to two HOA space addresses, support and webmaster, which both go to the same account on the server. So that's where you can see a difference. So then our sender host, this is always going to be the host name of the server that sent the email. So in terms of email sent out of the website, out of your website, this is almost always going to be localhost, which is just the name of the local server. And that address will always be 127.0.0.1 because that's the localhost address. In cases of external emails sent from outside the website to people on your website, to your domain, this will be the server host name and server IP address of whoever sent it, which could be a Gmail server or a Yahoo server or some other company's server. Spam score on email going out is not applicable, but on email coming in, you will usually see a spam score here, usually 0 through 10. Sometimes it goes higher. In general, anything around 5 or 6 or lower will not be a problem. It'll show accepted. If it's an incoming message and it has a spam score of 8, 9, 10, 12, something higher, you'll see the score here, of course, but then you may see a message that says it was filtered or rejected. And that's because the server has a general default of around 5 or 6 as the spam threshold for email coming in. Anything with a score higher than that has too many factors that apply it to being spam. And so it's too suspicious and it rejects it. But this is a great tool to use if you know someone sent an email to one of your domain addresses, one of your website addresses, Webmaster, for example, and you never got it and they insist they sent it. You might see it being delivered here to the server, but it has a spam score of 9 or 10, and then it may say that it was filtered. And in that case, there are ways to either, you can have them check their server, because a lot of times spam that comes in and is being marked as spam is often being sent by a server that might have something misconfigured, and so our server thinks it's bogus. Or it might just be the content of it. And sometimes they can alter their content, remove an attachment, or do something like that to make it not spam. So that is how the search results will look. Again, you can use the linear format if you like, and it's a little bit larger, it uses the larger font because it doesn't need to compress it. And some people just prefer it one way or the other. So that is how you can search the server for email going out or email coming in and trace its disposition to see whether it was delivered or not delivered and why. That's what will be in the result field. You usually can get some good information there if you have a failure. Well, I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and thank you very much for watching.